Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. Today we will be presenting about similarity and differences of ISO 14001, ISO 45001 and ISO 9001. The presenter will be IFFAH WAJIHAH binti Noor AZMI, REYHAN ALIYA binti Chapter DAHAK, NOOR AUNI binti MASHURI and ZULERVISHA SOLEHAH binti Makno. I am REYHAN ALIYA binti Chapter DAHAK from ES 2292A. Today I'll be presenting about Clause 1, which is Scope. The first clause that I'll be presenting is Clause 1, which is Scope. This shows the differences between the scope of ISO 14001, ISO 9001, and ISO 45001. For the scope of ISO 14001, it is the enhancement of environmental performance, fulfillment of compliance obligation, and achievement of environmental objective. For the scope of ISO 9001, it demonstrates its ability to consistently provide products and services that meet customer and applicable statutory and regulatory requirements, and enhance customer satisfaction through the effective application of the system, the assurance of conformity to customer and applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. For ISO 45001, it is a continual improvement of OH&S performance, fulfillment of legal requirements and other requirements, and achievement of OH&S objectives. Next is the similarities of ISO 14001, ISO 9001, and ISO 45001 in Clause 1, which is Scope. First, all the requirements of the international standards are generic. The international standards is applicable to any organization, regardless of size, type, and nature of the products and services it provides. Next is all the international standards need to fulfill the legal requirements. The second clause that I'll be presenting is Clause 3, which is Terms and Definition. The second clause that I'll be presenting is Clause 3, which is Terms and Definition. The definition of ISO 14001 is an international standard that outlines the requirement for an environmental management system. It provides guidelines for organizations to establish, implement, maintain, and improve their environmental performance. For the definition of ISO 9001, it is a globally recognized quality management standard developed by the International Organization for Standardization. It sets out criteria for quality management system and is based on a number of quality management principles, including a strong customer focus, the involvement of top management, a process approach, and a continual improvement. For the definition of ISO 45001, it is an international standard that specify requirements for occupational health and safety management system. It provides a framework for organizations to manage and improve their occupational health and safety performance and create a safety and healthy workplace for employees and other interested parties. Next is the similarities of ISO 14001, ISO 9001, and ISO 45001 in Clause 3 Terms and Definition. For 3.1, terms related to organization and leadership. Organization, a person or group of people that has its own function with responsibilities, authorities, and relationship to achieve its objective. Interested parties, person or organization that can be affected by, or perceive itself to be affected by a decision or activity. For 3.2, terms related to planning. Firstly is requirement, need or expectation that is stated, generally implied or obligatory. Objective, result to be achieved. Next, 3.3, terms related to support and operation. First is documented information. Information required to be controlled and maintained by an organization and the medium on which it is contained. Competence, ability to apply knowledge and skills to achieve intended result. Lastly is 3.4, terms related to performance evaluation and improvement. Conformity, fulfillment of a requirement. Lastly is continual improvement, which is a recurring activity to enhance performance.
So next I will be explaining on the comparison of a management system For Clause 4, Context of the organization. So firstly, Clause 4.1, Understanding the organization and its context. As for ISO 14001, it focuses on identifying environmental aspects and understanding the organization's environmental context. For example, analyze the organization effects on biodiversity, water resources, and air quality. As for ISO 90001, it focuses on identifying internal and external issues that are relevant to the organization's purpose and strategic direction. For example, organizations can recognize how the quality management systems is impacted by consumer demands, market developments, and legal obligations. As for ISO 45001, it focuses on identifying internal and external factors that can affect occupational health and safety of staff. For example, organization can recognize the legal obligations, potential risks at work, and employees' health issues. So next, clause 4.2, understanding the needs and expectation of interested parties. For ISO 14001, it focuses on identifying the parties with a stake in the environmental performance of the organization. For example, organization can take into account the demands of neighborhood association, conservation organizations, and government authorities. As for ISO 90001, it focuses on determining the needs and expectations of all relevant parties or stakeholders, particularly clients or customers. For example, organization can recognize the expectation of suppliers, regulatory agencies, and customers. And lastly, ISO 45001. It focuses on understanding the requirement and worries that contractors, employees, and other stakeholders or interested parties have with in relation to occupational health and safety of staff. Next, clause 4.3, determining the scope of the management system. For ISO 40001, it focuses on defining the limits and scope of the environmental management system's application. For instance, organizations can identify the locations, interests, and roles that the environmental management system encompasses. For ISO 90001, it defined the boundaries and areas in which the organization's quality management systems is applicable. For example, organizations can specify the goods or products, services, and procedures that the quality management systems is actually responsible for. And lastly, ISO 45001. It focuses on defining the system's scope in order to handle significant hazards and opportunities that is related to occupational health and safety. For example, organization can outline the settings, tasks, and risks that fall under the authority of the occupational health and safety management system. Last but not least, clause 4.4, management system and its processes. As for ISO 40001, it focuses on implementing and maintaining the environmental management system processes to achieve environmental objectives. For ISO 90001, in order to accomplish quality goals, the quality management system and associated procedures are established and maintained. And lastly, ISO 45001. It focuses on developing and implementing procedures to regulate opportunities and hazards that is related to occupational health and safety. So next I will be explaining on the overall similarities of ISO 14001, ISO 90001, and ISO 45001 in clause 4, context of the organization. So there are two of them, which are consideration of interested parties and documentation and communication. So firstly, consideration of interested parties. It is expected of organizations to identify interested parties needs and expectation with regard to their management system. Also, it is necessary for the organization to understand the needs of stakeholders or interested parties such as suppliers, employees, customers, and regulatory agencies. And last but not least, documentation and communication. So all these three standards emphasize how crucial it is to document the context of the organization, interested parties, and the scope of the management system. It is also to ensure that this information is communicated effectively within the organization guarantees that any relevant stakeholders are aware of the needs and context.
Next, I will explain about clause 5, which is leadership. For the clause 5.1, leadership and commitment. For ISO 14001, it focuses on the environmental management system, which is EMS, and it emphasizes accountability for the effectiveness of the EMS, integration of environmental policies, and ensuring resources for environmental objectives. It also stresses the importance of communicating the value of environmental management and promoting continual improvement. For ISO 9001, it centers on the quality management system, which is QMS. It also highlights the establishment of quality policies and objectives compatible with the organization's strategy and context. It promotes a process approach and risk-based thinking, ensuring resources for quality management and engaging staff for QMS effectiveness. Lastly, it also focuses on achieving quality results and continuous improvement. Lastly, for ISO 45001, it concentrates on the occupational health and safety management system, emphasizes accountability for the occupational health and safety management system's effectiveness, and the integration of OSH policies and objectives, focuses on eliminating hazards, reducing OSH risks, and ensuring worker participation and consultation. Highlights the importance of communicating the significance of OSH management, ensuring resources, and promoting continual improvement in OSH performances. For the similarities in clause 5.1 is about leadership and commitment by top management, accountability, policy and objectives, integration into business processes, provision of resources, communication, achievement of intended outcomes, support and engagement of personnel, promotion of improvement, and lastly, support for other managers. We move on to clause 5.2, which is policy. For the differences of ISO 14001 is it focuses on environmental policy. For the content requirements, the policy must include commitments to environmental protection, compliance with legal and other requirements, and continual improvement. It must also address the prevention of pollution and sustainable resource use. For the communication, the policy should be communicated to all persons working for or on behalf of the organization and be available to interested parties. For ISO 9001, it is focused on quality policy. For the content requirements, the policy must include commitments to satisfy applicable requirements and continual improvement of the quality management system. It must be appropriate to the purpose and context of the organization and support its strategic direction. For the communication, the policy should be communicated and understood within the organization and be available to relevant interested parties. Last but not least, for ISO 45001, it is focused on occupational health and safety policy. For the content requirements, the policy must include commitments to provide safe and healthy working conditions, fulfill legal and other requirements, eliminate hazards and reduce OSH risks, and continually improve the OSH management system. It must also include a commitment to worker participation and consultation. For the communication, the policy should be communicated to all workers and be available to interested parties. For the similarities of the clause 5.2 is policy establishment, commitment to compliance, commitment to continual improvement, communication, availability to interested parties, and documented information. Furthermore, We move on to clause 5.3, which is organizational roles, responsibilities, and authorities. For ISO 14001, it focuses on environmental responsibilities. For the specific requirements is ensuring that the environmental management systems, which is EMS, conforms to the requirements of the standard. And also it reporting on the performance of EMS, including environmental performance to top management. For ISO 9001, it focuses on quality responsibilities, and the specific requirements are ensuring that the quality management system, which is QMS, conforms to the requirements of the standard, ensuring the promotion of customer focus throughout the organization, and reporting on the performance of the QMS, including opportunities for improvement to top management. For ISO 45001, it focuses on occupational health and safety responsibilities. For specific requirements, it ensuring that the occupational health and safety management system conforms to the requirements of the standard, and reporting on the performance of the OSH, including OSH performance to top management. Ensuring the participation and consultation of workers in the development, planning, implementation, performance evaluation, and actions for improvement of the OSH MS. Lastly, for the similarities of clause 5.3, assignment and communication, top management responsibility, delegation and empowerment, promotion of awareness, and oversight and reporting.
Hi, my name is ZULERVISHA BINTI. The next slide is about clause 10, which is improvement. Alright, this slide is about 10.1, is a general. For ISO 14001, is the organization shall determine opportunities for improvement and implement necessary action to achieve the intended outcome of its environmental management system. So for ISO 9001, is the organization shall determine and select opportunities for the improvement and implement any necessary action to meet the customer requirements and enhance the customer satisfaction. One is improving the products and service to fulfill requirement and to address future needs and expectation. Two is correcting, preventing or reducing the undesired effects. Three is improving the performance and effectiveness of the quality management system. So for the ISO 45001, is the organization shall determine opportunities for improvement and implement necessary action to achieve the intended for its OHS management system. Next slide is 10.2, which is non-conformity and corrective action, and another one is incident, non-conformity and corrective action. For ISO 14001, when a non-conformity occurs, 1. React to the non-conformity and as applicable. 2. Is evaluate to the need for action to eliminate the cause of the non-conformity in order that it does not occur elsewhere. 3 is implement any action needed. So for ISO 9001, when the non-conformity occur including any arising from complaints, 1 is react to the non-conformity and as applicable. 2 is evaluate the needed for action to eliminate the causes of non-conformity in order that it does not occur elsewhere. 3 is implement any action needed. 4 is review the effectiveness of any corrective action taken. So for the next is ISO 45001, establish, implement and maintain the processes including reporting, investigating and taking action to determine and manage incident and non-conformities. 1 is react in timely manners to the incident or non-conformities and as applicable. 2 is evaluate the participation of workers and the involvement of other relevant interested parties. The needed for corrective action to eliminate the root causes of the incident or non-conformities in order that it does not occur elsewhere. 3 is a review existing assessment of OHS risk and other risks. The next slide is 10.3, which is continual improvement. So for the ISO 14001, the organization shall continually improve the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the environmental management system to enhance the environmental. So for the ISO 9001, the organization shall continually improve the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the quality management system. So for the ISO 45001, the organization shall continually improve the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the OH&S management system by 1. Enhancing OH&S performance, 2. Promoting a culture that support an OH&S management system. 3 is promoting the participation of workers in implementing action for the continual improvement of the OH&S system. 4 is communicating the relevant result of continual improvement to workers and workers' representative. That's all. Thank you.